ready? Subclavian artery here that's got the right internal mammary branching off of it. And then you've got these two main arteries here, its other two main branches, the right common carotid and the left common carotid here. Okay, so now I've got right and left common carotids going up the side of the throat, as well as the external jugulars, right, going up the side of the throat. And then your internal jugulars here also run parallel to the common carotids, okay? So, common carotids don't have a lot of branching here in this area until you get later on. So we're going to jump back down here to our left subclavian artery, and this is the main artery that we're going to follow and identify several branches of, okay? So we already identified this ventral one here, the internal mammary artery. Okay, but there's three branches in a row here that are hard to dissect out. You have the vertebral, the costocervical, and the thyrocervical. So 1, 2, 3, right before the first rib here. So vertebral, costocervical, thyrocervical, and you can ignore this little branch. I'll probably actually cut it off because it's an irregularity. But it's actually kind of interesting to see this cat actually has like an extra branch connecting its left common carotid to its left subclavian, like a bridge artery that is, atypical. So we'll probably cut that one off because it's not important. The important thing to remember is vertebral, costocervical, thyrocervical, and then your internal mammary is the only one that's coming up ventrally. Okay, then this is our first rib right here. So after the first rib, the left subclavian is now called the axillary. If you remember from the skeletal section, the clavicle is right here in front of the first rib. So that's why this is called subclavian, because it goes underneath the clavicle, subclavian. And then right here, axillary is just another name for armpit. So this is in the axillary region, and it's called the axillary artery here. Okay, our first branch here, this long branch down, is called the long thoracic. Okay, remember thoracic refers to like thoracic cavity here, housed by the ribs and the vertebra that bear ribs. So it's going here along the ribs. So long thoracic artery here. And as we continue down, the other artery that runs kind of parallel to that and also goes posterior is the thoracodorsal. So we have axillary, long thoracic, and then after the long thoracic branches off, it's now called the brachial artery. And then the thoracodorsal branches down. So this one artery has three names: the left subclavian, the axillary here, and then the brachial artery here. Okay. Right before the long thoracic branches down, you've got the ones branching here, and that is the ventral thoracic. So it's the only other artery, and it's actually paired with this ventral thoracic vein right here, the blue one. It's the only other one besides the internal mammary here that's coming ventrally. Okay, that's pointed ventrally as opposed to like anterior, posterior, or down. Okay, so we have vertebral, costocervical, thyrocervical, then it turns into axillary. You've got this ventral thoracic branch up. You have a long thoracic artery branch down. Following the brachial artery along here, you have, so after the ventral thoracic, you have a subscapular artery branching up here. Then you have a anterior humeral circumflex artery branching up, and then further down you have the deep brachial artery here. So these three in a row are subscapular, anterior humeral circumflex, and deep brachial artery. Okay, so those are the three parallel branches on the top of the brachial artery: subscapular, anterior humeral circumflex, and deep brachial. And then the two coming back off of the brachial artery are long thoracic and thoracodorsal here. Now it also identifies a posterior humeral circumflex up here that's a little deeper. We're not going to worry about that guy. I just want you to remember these three main ones here: subscapular, anterior humeral circumflex, and deep brachial. And then of course the ventral thoracic up here that branches off, really where it's more of a axillary artery before you get to long thoracic. Okay, so there's a lot of new names, right? New terms. You probably only have actually heard of the aortic arch, the jugular, and the carotid before today, right? Maybe you heard of the brachial artery, like running down the arm. Okay, so this gets us started, right? We're ahead of the curve. This is the hardest area really to clean out and look at all the smaller arteries. So when we come back Wednesday, we're going to follow this external jugular up the side of the face here and do some of those branches, and then we can also do the some of the ones in the abdominal pelvis.